The council chamber floated in the darkness of space. It was a massive structure made of crystal and metal that shimmered with strange lights. Inside the chamber, representatives from dozens of alien species gathered around a circular table. Their faces showed worry and fear. The war against the Krivex swarm was going badly. Admiral Vex then stood at the center of the chamber. He was tall and covered in dark blue scales. His species, the Vrath, had been warriors for thousands of years, but even they could not stop the Krivex. He looked at the holographic display floating above the table. It showed red zones spreading across the galaxy like a disease. 40% of council space was gone. Just gone. A Lumini representative spoke in a voice like ringing bells. Her body was made of living crystal that reflected light in rainbow patterns. Her people were dying. The Krivex had surrounded their homeworld. 15 billion souls waited for death. The Krivex were not like normal enemies. They came from other dimensions. They could appear and disappear at will. Weapons passed through them like they were ghosts. When they attacked, they consumed everything. Planets, stars, entire solar systems vanished into darkness. The Council had fought for 200 years. They had lost every major battle. Vex then turned off the display. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what silence meant. It meant they were out of options. It meant the end was coming. Then the doors opened. A human walked into the chamber. Ambassador James Chen was small compared to most species in the Council. Humans had only achieved faster than light travel 5 years ago. They had asked to join the Galactic Council. The Council had rejected them. Humans were too primitive, too violent, too young, but desperate times made people reconsider old decisions. Chen walked to the center of the chamber. He did not look afraid. He bowed slightly to the Council members. Then he spoke in clear, simple words. Humanity wishes to offer military assistance. We have studied the Krivex. We believe we can help. Vex then laughed. It was not a kind laugh. He gestured at the holographic display. You have studied them? We have fought them for 2 centuries. Our weapons cannot touch them. They exist in multiple dimensions. Your people still use chemical propellants and nuclear weapons. What can you possibly offer? Chen did not react to the insult. He simply said, give us membership in the Council. In exchange, we will fight the Krivex. The chamber erupted in noise. Some species laughed. Others looked offended. A few looked curious. The Etherns, beings made of gas and energy, whispered among themselves. They had heard stories about humans, stories about their wars, about their refusal to surrender. Vex then raised his hand for silence. Very well. If you wish to die fighting our enemy, we accept. You have 6 months to prepare. Chen shook his head. 3 months. We only need 3 months. Now Vex then looked surprised. 3 months? To build a fleet? To train soldiers? Impossible, Chen smiled slightly. We have been preparing for 5 years, Admiral. We have been watching the galaxy. We have been watching the Krivex. We know what they are, and we know how to kill them. The council chamber fell silent again. This time the silence was different. It was the silence of people who just heard something they did not expect, something that scared them a little. The vote was called. Most council members voted yes, not because they believed in humanity, but because they had nothing left to lose. If humans wanted to throw their lives away, let them. Maybe they would buy a few more weeks for evacuation. Chen bowed again and left the chamber. As the doors closed behind him, Vex then stared at the spot where the human had stood. Something about the human's confidence bothered him. Humans were young, primitive. They should be terrified of the Krivex. But Chen had not looked terrified. He had looked certain. 3 months later, a message arrived from human space. It was addressed to Admiral Vex's then personally. He opened it in his private quarters. The message was simple, fleet ready, sending coordinates. Humanity is coming. Vex then pulled up the data attached to the message. His eyes widened. 500 warships. That was the human fleet. Only 500 ships against hundreds of thousands of Krivex. He zoomed in on the ship designs. They were crude, ugly, nothing like the elegant vessels of the council races. The ships looked like they were built for one purpose only, to carry as many weapons as possible. Then he read the weapon specifications. His blood went cold. Quantum resonance cannons, reality anchors, causality missiles, probability bombs. These were not normal weapons. These were weapons designed to break the laws of physics. to attack enemies across multiple dimensions at once, to strike backward through time. One weapon was labeled simply as the Philadelphia Protocol. There were no specifications, just a warning. Use only as last resort. Extreme danger to user. Vex then sat back in his chair. He had called humans primitive. He had mocked their chemical propellants. But these weapons were not primitive. They were insane. They were weapons that should not exist. Weapons that broke every council law about warfare. He remembered something Chen had said. We know how to kill them, not defeat them, not fight them, kill them. Vex then realized something in that moment. The council had been trying to win a war. But humans did not think about war that way. For humans, war was not about victory. It was about making enemies stop existing. He sent a message back to Chen. Your fleet is cleared for deployment. May the ancients protect you. Chen's reply came back immediately. We do not need protection, Admiral. We are the ones who do the protecting. 2 days later, Admiral Catherine Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the human flagship Indomitable. Around her, 500 warships hung in space. They were not beautiful. They were not elegant. But they were ready. Rodriguez was 50 years old. Her face carried scars from the unification wars on Earth. She had fought in those wars. She had seen what humans could do when they decided something needed to die. She did not enjoy war, but she was very good at it. Next to her stood Dr. Yuki Tanaka. She was younger, in her 30s. She wore thick glasses even though laser surgery could fix her eyes. She said the glasses helped her think. She was the one who designed the weapons. All of them. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. They were volunteers. Every single one. They knew the mission was dangerous. They knew they might not come home. But they came anyway. Rodriguez looked at the star map. The Lumine homeworld was marked in red, surrounded, dying. 15 billion people waited for rescue. Dr. Tanaka, are the systems ready? Tanaka checked her tablet. All weapons are online. Reality anchors are charged. Quantum resonance cannons are synchronized. The Philadelphia Protocol is ready but locked. It requires your authorization and mine together. Rodriguez nodded. Good. Let us hope we do not need that one. Tanaka pushed her glasses up her nose. Admiral, the Council thinks we are going to fail. They think we are throwing our lives away. Rodriguez smiled. A cold smile. Let them think that. They will learn. Prepare for jump to faster than light speed. All stations reported ready. The fleet engaged their FTL drives. Space twisted and bent around them. Then they were gone, traveling faster than light toward the war zone. In the council chamber, Vex then watched the fleet disappear on his sensors. He had sent them the coordinates for the Lumini homeworld. He had told them what they would face. Hundreds of thousands of Krevex ships, a hive-mind entity that existed across multiple dimensions. He had also told them that no council fleet had ever won a major battle against the Krevex. Not one. In 200 years, he expected the humans to die bravely. He hoped they would buy enough time for one more evacuation convoy. What he did not expect was what actually happened. Humanity was not coming to die. They were coming to erase the enemy from reality itself. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Lumini system. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the sensors light up with contacts. Hundreds of thousands of red dots. All Krevex. They had known the numbers would be bad. But seeing it was different. The Krevex swarm surrounded the Lumini homeworld like a dark cloud. Their ships flickered in and out of normal space, phasing between dimensions. Council weapons could not hit them when they did that. Rodriguez saw the Council remnant fleet too. 2,000 ships. They were trying to hold a defensive position around the planet, but they were losing, badly. As she watched, a Krevex ship materialized inside a Council cruiser. The cruiser exploded from within. Communications officer, open a channel to the Council fleet. The channel opened. Rodriguez spoke clearly. This is Admiral Catherine Rodriguez of the human fleet. We have arrived. Please clear the battlefield. There was a moment of shocked silence. Then Vex Then's voice came through. Admiral Rodriguez, you want us to retreat? That will doom the planet. The Krevex will slaughter everyone. Rodriguez kept her voice calm. This is not a retreat. This is a safety precaution. You will not want to be close to us for what happens next. Move your ships at least 50,000 kilometers away. Admiral, we cannot abandon these people. We are not abandoning them. We are saving them. But we cannot do that if your ships are in the way. Trust me. Move now. Vex then hesitated. Then he gave the order. The Council fleet began pulling back. They moved slowly. They did not want to look like they were running. But they moved. Rodriguez turned to her weapons officer, Lieutenant Martinez. Status on the reality anchors. Martinez was young. This was his first major combat, but he had trained for years. Already, Admiral, 30 reality anchor generators. They will create a sphere of locked space approximately 100,000 kilometers in diameter, and the Kravex will not be able to phase out? No, ma'am. Inside the anchor field, dimensional shifting becomes impossible. They will be stuck in normal space with us. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward. She was holding her tablet tightly. Admiral, I need to explain something about the weapons. Before we fire, Rodriguez looked at her. Go ahead. The quantum resonance cannons do not work like normal weapons. When we fire them, they will hit the target in this dimension, but they will also hit the same target in parallel dimensions, maybe thousands of them. The Kravex exist across multiple realities. We will kill them in all of those realities at once. Rodriguez nodded slowly. I read your reports. What is the problem? Tanaka pushed her glasses up. The problem is what that looks like to outside observers. When a Kravex ship dies to our weapons, it will not just explode. It will cease to exist. Completely. People watching might lose their memories of seeing that ship. Sensor logs might change. It is like we are editing reality itself. Will it harm our people? Or the Council forces? No, the effect only targets the Kravex, but it will scare people. The Council has never seen weapons like this. Rodriguez looked out at the Kravex swarm. Good, let them be scared. Fear will remind them not to underestimate us again. Proceed with the operation. The human fleet moved forward in formation. 500 ships against hundreds of thousands. The Kravex noticed them. The swarm began to shift. Thousands of enemy ships turned toward the humans. They had destroyed Council fleets many times before. These new ships would be no different. The Kravex attacked. Their ships moved in perfect coordination. The hive mind controlled them all. They phased in and out of reality, appearing, firing, disappearing before return fire could hit them. But they never got close to the human fleet. All ships, activate reality anchors. Now 30 ships in the human fleet activated their reality anchor generators. A wave of energy expanded outward in a sphere. It was invisible to the eye. But every sensor in the system screamed warnings. Space-time itself was being locked in place. Frozen. Made rigid. The Kravex tried to phase out of reality. They could not. For the first time in 200 years, they were trapped, stuck in normal space. Vulnerable. The hive mind felt something it had not felt in a long time. Confusion. Then concern. These new enemies had weapons it did not understand. Rodriguez smiled. It was not a nice smile. All ships. Protocol nightmare. Full weapons release. Fire. 500 human warships opened fire at once. The quantum resonance cannons fired beams of energy that split into thousands of frequencies. Each beam existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. When they hit a Kravex ship, the effect was instant. The ship did not explode. It did not burn. It simply stopped existing. One moment, a Kravex vessel was there. The next moment, it was gone. Not destroyed, gone, erased from reality. The causality missiles launched next. They were strange weapons. They traveled backward through time along their own timeline. From an outside view, they hit their targets before they were fired. The missiles struck Kravex ships that had been about to dodge. But the ships never got the chance to dodge. The missiles had already hit them in the past. Then came the probability bombs. These were the strangest weapons of all. They did not explode with fire or energy. They exploded with mathematics. They collapsed quantum states. When a probability bomb went off near a Kravex ship, that ship became uncertain. Did it exist? Had it ever existed? The universe could not decide. So the universe chose, and the universe chose that the ship had never been there. Aboard the Council flagship, Vex then watched the battle on his sensors. He could not believe what he was seeing. Thousands of Kravex ships were vanishing. Just vanishing. His sensor officer kept reporting impossible readings. Ships were disappearing from current scans, but also from historical logs. It was as if they had never existed to begin with. One Lumini officer stood up from his station. His crystalline body was shaking. "Admiral, I cannot remember how many enemy ships we were fighting. I look at the logs. The numbers keep changing. What is happening?" Vex then did not have an answer. He just stared at the display. The red cloud of Krivek's ships was shrinking. Fast. Hundreds died every second. No, not died. Stopped existing. He opened a channel to Rodriguez. "By the ancients, what have you done?" Rodriguez's voice came back calm. "We are doing what we said we would do. We are removing the enemy. You are not removing them. You are erasing them from existence. From history itself. Yes, that is the point." The Krivek's hive mind understood it was in danger. Real danger. It had never faced weapons like these. It sent a command to all ships: retreat, phase out, escape. But the reality anchors held. The Krivek's could not phase. They could not escape. They could only die, or rather stop existing. In 15 minutes, the human fleet destroyed 50,000 Krivek ships. Destroyed was not the right word. Unmade was better. The space around the Lumini homeworld cleared. The dark cloud was gone. Rodriguez checked her tactical display. The immediate area was clear. But she knew this was not over. The main Krivek's force was deeper in the system. And at the center of that force was something much worse than ships. Sensors. Report. What are we reading at the system's edge? The sensor officer's hand shook as she read the data. "Admiral, we are reading a massive dimensional distortion. Something very large is coming through." "How large?" The officer looked up. Her face was pale. "The size of a moon, Admiral, and it exists in at least 12 different dimensions at once." Tanaka grabbed Rodriguez's arm. "That must be it. The Devourer. The hive mind's central consciousness. We knew it existed, but we have never seen it in person. Can we kill it with our current weapons?" Tanaka shook her head. "No, it exists in too many dimensions. Our weapons will damage it, but it will just spread that damage across all its dimensional forms. We need something stronger." Rodriguez knew what that meant. The Philadelphia Protocol. The Devourer emerged into normal space. It was huge. Larger than anything Rodriguez had ever seen. Its surface was dark and seemed to absorb light. Tentacles of energy reached out in all directions. Where they touched space, reality itself seemed to tear. All ships. Fire at will. The human fleet fired everything they had. Quantum resonance cannons. Causality missiles. Probability bombs, all of it. The weapons struck the Devourer. They hurt it. But they did not kill it. The Devourer reached out with its tentacles. It grabbed 3 human ships and crushed them. The ships exploded. 50 crew on each ship. 150 people dead in seconds. More tentacles lashed out. More ships died. In 3 minutes, Rodriguez lost 50 vessels. 2,500 crew. She had known casualties would happen. But seeing it was different. "Dr. Tanaka. The Philadelphia Protocol. Is it ready?" Tanaka's hands moved over her tablet. She was pale. "Yes, but Admiral, I need to remind you. The simulations showed complications. The protocol phases our entire fleet into dimensional space. The same space where the Devourer exists. We will be fighting it on its home ground. And if we stay too long, we might not be able to phase back." Rodriguez watched another 3 ships die. Complications or extinction. That is an easy choice. "Initiate the Philadelphia Protocol. All ships." Tanaka entered the codes. Rodriguez added her authorization. Together they activated humanity's most dangerous weapon. The human fleet began to shimmer. The ships seemed to become transparent. Then they faded from normal space entirely. From the Council fleet's perspective, 450 human ships simply vanished. Admiral Rodriguez felt the world change around her. One moment she was on the bridge of the indomitable in normal space. The next moment everything was different. Wrong. Strange. Colors existed that should not exist. She could see sounds. Hear light. Time flowed in multiple directions at once. She remembered things that had not happened yet. She forgot things that were happening right now. This was dimensional space, the place between realities, the place where the Devourer lived. She looked at her crew. They were all experiencing the same thing. Some looked sick. Others looked frightened. But they stayed at their posts. They had trained for this. Tanaka had made them practice in simulation. The simulation had not prepared them for how bad it really was. All crew. Focus. Remember your training. Time works differently here. Do not try to understand it. Just do your jobs, her voice seemed to help. The crew settled. Their hands moved over their controls. Slowly at first. Then with more confidence, Tanaka stood next to her. The scientist's glasses were fogged up. Her hands shook. But her voice was steady. Admiral, sensors are working, but the readings are strange. We can see the Devourer's true form now. Show me. The display changed. Rodriguez saw the Devourer as it really was. It was not just a physical thing. It was an idea, a concept. It was hunger given form. It existed across 12 dimensions. In each dimension, it fed on something different. Life energy, matter, time itself. It had been doing this for thousands of years. Maybe millions. It had consumed entire civilizations. And now it noticed the human fleet. The Devourer turned its attention toward them. Rodriguez felt its presence like weight pressing down on her mind. It was intelligent, ancient, and hungry, always hungry. It reached out with tendrils of energy. In dimensional space, those tendrils existed in ways that were impossible to describe. They moved forward and backward through time. They existed in multiple places at once. They bypassed shields and armor because those things only existed in 3 dimensions. 5 human ships died immediately. The Devourer simply unmade them. Rodriguez felt each death. In dimensional space, everything was connected. She felt the crews die, felt their fear, their pain. Then nothing, all ships. Return fire! Quantum weapons. Maximum power. The fleet fired. In dimensional space, the weapons looked different. The beams did not travel in straight lines. They curved through impossible angles, hit targets that were behind the ships that fired them, struck moments before or after they were meant to. But they hit. The Devourer screamed. The sound was not audio. It was something deeper, something that hurt to experience. The creature was wounded. Not badly, but wounded. It retaliated. More tendrils. More ships dying. 10 this time. Rodriguez gritted her teeth. They were hurting it, but it was hurting them more. At this rate, they would all die before it did. Tanaka suddenly grabbed her arm. Admiral, I understand now. The weapons are not enough. In dimensional space, physics works differently. Our weapons follow rules, but the Devourer does not follow rules. It makes its own rules, then how do we kill it? Tanaka pointed at the reality anchors. We use those. We create a pocket of forced reality inside dimensional space, a bubble where our physics apply absolutely. Where 3-dimensional rules are the only rules, then the Devourer becomes vulnerable. Rodriguez understood. Can we do that? Yes, but we need to overload the reality anchors, push them beyond safe limits. Some ships might not survive the strain. Rodriguez looked at her fleet. 430 ships left. They had already lost 70. 70 ships, 3,500 crew. She thought about those people. Volunteers. All of them. They knew the risks. They came anyway, do it. All reality anchor ships. Overload your generators. Create the biggest bubble you can. The 30 ships equipped with reality anchors pushed their systems to maximum. Then beyond maximum, the generators screamed. Energy readings went into dangerous levels. 2 ships exploded immediately. Their reactors could not handle the load, but the other 28 held. A sphere of normal reality expanded outward. Inside that sphere, the strange colors disappeared. Time flowed in one direction. Causality worked properly. Physics made sense again. The Devourer was caught inside the bubble. For the first time in its long existence, the Devourer was trapped in 3 dimensions. It could not spread damage across multiple realities. It could not phase away. It could not manipulate time. It was just a physical thing. Large, powerful, but physical. And that meant it could die. Rodriguez felt something change. The weight on her mind lifted. She could think clearly again. She looked at the Devourer on her display. It looked smaller now. Still huge. Still dangerous. But not infinite. Not impossible. She opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships. This is Admiral Rodriguez. We have it trapped. It cannot escape. It cannot phase. It is vulnerable. But we need to do more than hurt it. We need to kill it permanently. We need to make sure it can never come back. She paused. Chose her next words carefully. In dimensional space, thoughts have power. Belief shapes reality. So I need everyone to believe. Believe that this thing can die. Believe that we will kill it. Believe so hard that reality has no choice but to agree with us. Do you understand? Responses came back from all ships. Yes, Admiral. We understand. We believe, Rodriguez smiled. Good. Then let us show this ancient monster what humanity does to things that threaten us. All ships. Concentrate fire. Everything we have. Fire until there is nothing left. 428 human warships fired at once. Every weapon. Every missile. Every ounce of destructive power they carried. And as they fired, 428 crews believed with everything they had, believed that the devourer would die, believed that they would win. In dimensional space where thought and reality mixed together, that belief became power. The weapons hit harder than they should, penetrated deeper than physics allowed. The devourer's defenses meant nothing. Its ancient power meant nothing. Against the focused will of thousands of humans who refused to lose, it was helpless. The devourer screamed again. This time the scream was different. It was fear, pain, disbelief. It had existed for eons. It had consumed galaxies. It was eternal, unstoppable. But humanity did not care about any of that. Humanity had decided it would die. And in dimensional space, human will was stronger than ancient power. The devourer began to break apart. Not physically. Something deeper than that. It broke apart across all its dimensional forms at once. All 12 versions of itself dying simultaneously. It tried to flee, tried to phase away, but the reality anchor bubble held it in place. Rodriguez watched it die, watched it unmake itself, watched it cease to exist, not just in this dimension, in all dimensions, in all timelines, past, present, and future. The devourer was not just killed, it was erased, made retroactively never to have existed. When it was over, Rodriguez felt something strange. Her memories shifted. She remembered the battle, remembered fighting the devourer, but now she also remembered versions of history where the devourer had never existed, where the Krivex had never attacked anyone, where billions of people who died were suddenly alive again. She shook her head. The paradox hurt to think about. She decided not to think about it. Dr. Tanaka, can we phase back to normal space now? Tanaka checked her readings. She looked tired. Older somehow. Yes, Admiral. The dimensional anchor has collapsed. We can return, but we need to do it soon. Before dimensional space starts affecting us permanently, all ships, prepare to phase back to normal space. Count off the ships reported in. 380 remained. They had started with 500. 120 ships lost. 6,000 crew. Rodriguez felt each loss like a physical pain. But they had won. They had saved 15 billion luminae. They had ended a 200-year war. The cost was high, but it was worth it. Phase shift in 3, 2, 1. Execute. The human fleet shimmered. Then they were gone from dimensional space, returning to normal reality. Returning home, Rodriguez collapsed in her chair. The transition back was harder than going in. Her body remembered being in multiple dimensions at once. Returning to just 3 felt restrictive. Wrong. It would take days to feel normal again, but she was alive. Her fleet was alive. They had done the impossible. Sensors. Report. What is the status of the system? The sensor officer took a moment to respond. When she did, her voice was full of wonder. Admiral, the Krivex are gone. All of them. Every ship. The Council fleet is reporting that their sensor logs are changing. Battles they remember fighting never happened. Losses they took were never sustained. It is like the last 200 years of war never occurred. Rodriguez nodded slowly. That is what happens when you erase something from all timelines. You change history itself. She stood up. Her legs were shaky, but she stood. Open a channel to Admiral Vex, then. The channel opened. Vex then's face appeared on screen. His expression was difficult to read. His scales shifted colors rapidly, a sign of strong emotion in his species. Admiral Rodriguez, you returned. We thought you were lost. We are not lost. We are victorious. The devourer is dead. The Krivex are gone. The war is over. Vex then was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, what you did? It should not be possible. You did not just defeat them. You erased them from existence. From history, we are receiving reports from across Council space. Worlds that were destroyed are whole again. 2 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened in their chamber. Every species sent representatives. The Vrath, the Luminae, the Etherns, dozens more. They all came to discuss one thing: Humanity. The chamber was different than before. There was no war display, no red zones showing enemy territory. The war was over. Completely over. The Kreveks were gone. Not defeated, gone, erased from history. 15 billion Lumini lived because they had never been attacked in the first place. Worlds that were destroyed stood whole again. But the council members did not look happy. They looked nervous. Afraid even. Because now they had to make a decision about humanity. Ambassador James Chen stood in the center of the chamber again. Just like he had months ago when asking for help. But things were different now. Humanity had proven itself. They had won. They had saved the galaxy, and the council was terrified of them. Admiral Vex then spoke first. He stood and addressed the chamber. His voice was calm, but Chen could hear the tension underneath. Ambassador Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank humanity for its assistance. You saved countless lives. You ended a war that we could not win. For that you have our gratitude. Chen waited. He knew what was coming next. There would be a but. There was always a but, Vex then continued. But we must address the weapons you used. You did not just defeat the Kreveks. You erased them from reality. You altered history itself. You changed the timeline. Some of our people have memories of events that never happened now. Others have lost memories of things that did happen. The Lumini representative stood. Her crystalline body chimed as she moved. My people are alive because of humanity, but we are also troubled. You wield weapons that unmake existence, that rewrite history, that break the fundamental laws of the universe. Such power should not exist. Chen looked around the chamber. Other representatives nodded. They were all thinking the same thing. Humanity was too dangerous, and Ethern spoke next. Their voice was like wind through leaves. We propose restrictions. Humanity may join the council. But your reality-altering weapons must be destroyed. All of them. No species should have the power to erase others from existence. Chen let the silence hang for a moment. Then he spoke. His voice was quiet but clear. You want us to destroy our weapons. The same weapons that saved you. The weapons that won your war. Yes, for the safety of all species. Chen looked at each representative. His expression did not change, no. The chamber erupted in noise. Representatives shouted. Some demanded. Others pleaded. Chen waited for them to quiet down. Eventually they did. Let me explain something to you. For thousands of years you had the Kreveks threatening you. For 200 years you fought them. You lost every major battle. Your people died by the billions. And you could not stop it. He paused. Looked around the chamber again. Then humanity came. We studied your enemy for 5 years. We built weapons specifically designed to kill them. We risked our lives. We lost 6,000 people, and we won. We did what you could not do. We saved you. Another pause. And now you want us to destroy those weapons. To make ourselves weak. To make ourselves vulnerable. Why? Because you are afraid of us. The Lumini representative spoke again. Her voice was defensive. We have reason to be afraid. Your weapons break reality itself. Chen nodded slowly. Yes, they do. And that is why we will keep them. Because the next time something like the Kreveks appears, someone will need to stop it, and we both know it will not be you. The words were harsh, but they were true. The council members knew it. They had failed to protect themselves. Humanity had succeeded. That was reality. Vex then stood again. He looked tired. Old Ambassador Chen, we cannot allow a species with such weapons to join the council without restrictions. It would be irresponsible. Chen smiled slightly. Then we propose a compromise. We will accept restrictions. But not on our weapons. On their use. That got their attention. Vex then leaned forward. Explain. We will sign a treaty. Humanity will agree never to use reality-altering weapons against council species. We will only use them against existential threats to the galaxy. Enemies like the Kreveks, things that threaten everyone. And who decides what counts as an existential threat? The council votes. Majority decision. If the council agrees something is an existential threat, humanity will respond. If the council does not agree, we will not act. The representatives looked at each other. They whispered among themselves. Chen waited. He knew they would accept. They had no choice. Humanity was too powerful to reject, too useful to exclude, and too dangerous to antagonize. Vex then spoke for the group. We accept your proposal, but we have one additional requirement. Chen raised an eyebrow. Yes, you must share the basic principles of your weapons, not the exact designs, but the theory, so we understand what you are capable of, so we can develop defenses if needed. Chen considered this. It was reasonable, and honestly, humanity had nothing to hide. Their weapons worked not because of secret technology. They worked because humanity thought differently about war. No species in the Council would ever build weapons like theirs. They were too civilized, too restrained. Humanity was not restrained. When they fought to win. Completely. Permanently. That was the real secret. Agreed. Dr. Yuki Tanaka will provide a briefing on our weapons theory. Within 1 month, the vote was called. Should humanity join the Galactic Council? The representatives voted one by one, yes. A few voted no. But the majority voted yes. Humanity was now officially part of the Galactic Council. Chen bowed to the chamber. Thank you. Humanity is honored to join the Council. We promise to use our strength to protect all member species. We will be your shield against threats you cannot face alone. The formal session ended. Representatives filed out of the chamber. Some congratulated Chen, others avoided eye contact. Fear was still there, but so was respect. And relief. Relief that humanity was on their side. Vex then approached Chen as the chamber emptied. The tall Vrath looked down at the human. Ambassador, may I speak with you? Privately? Of course, Admiral. They walked to a private viewing room. Through the transparent walls, they could see the stars. Vex then stood in silence for a moment. Then he spoke. I need to ask you something, and I need an honest answer. Go ahead. When I first met you, I mocked humanity. I called you primitive. I laughed at your weapons. But you were not angry. You were confident. You knew something I did not. What was it? Chen looked out at the stars. That is a good question. The answer is simple. We knew we would win, but how? You had never fought the Kravex before? True, but we had fought wars for thousands of years. Humans have always been good at killing things. It is a talent. We studied the Kravex. We understood their strength, and then we built weapons specifically designed to kill them. It was not complicated. Vex then shook his head. It is more than that. You did not just want to defeat them. You wanted to erase them, to make them never have existed. That level of, I do not know the word, thoroughness? Ruthlessness? Chen turned to face him. The word you are looking for is finality. When humans fight, we do not fight to win battles. We fight to end wars permanently. We do not want our enemies to surrender or retreat. We want them to stop being a threat forever. That is terrifying. Yes, it is. But it is also effective. The Kravex will never threaten anyone again. Not now, not in 100 years. Not ever, because they do not exist. That is real peace. That is real security. Vex then was quiet for a long time. Then he said something unexpected. I voted yes for humanity's membership, not because I trust you, but because I would rather have you as allies than enemies. Chen smiled. That is wise. We will be good allies, Admiral. You will see, I hope so. Because if humanity ever turns against the Council, there is nothing we could do to stop you. That will not happen. Humanity does not want to conquer. We just want to be safe, and to help others be safe. That is all. Vex then nodded slowly. I believe you, for now, but I will be watching. That is fair. They parted ways. Chen returned to his quarters. He sent a message back to Earth. Mission accomplished. Humanity is now part of the Galactic Council. Treaty signed. Weapons retained. Await further instructions. The reply came back quickly. Well done, Ambassador. Return home, rest, you earned it. Chen sat down in his chair. He felt tired. More tired than he had ever been. The last few months had been exhausting. Stressful, dangerous, but successful. Humanity had achieved its goal. They were part of the galactic community now. Protected by treaty. Respected for their power. Feared for their weapons. Fear was good. Fear kept people careful. Fear prevented wars. If other species were afraid to attack humanity, they would never attack. Peace through strength. It was an old concept. But it worked. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Rodriguez stood in a military briefing room. Around her sat the commanders of Earth's defense forces. They were discussing the battle. Analyzing what worked, what did not work, what could be improved. Dr. Tanaka stood at the front of the room with a holographic display. She looked better than she had after the battle. Still tired, but recovering. She was presenting data on the weapon's performance. The quantum resonance cannons performed as expected. 100% hit rate across all dimensional frequencies. The causality missiles had a 98% success rate. The probability bombs were less reliable, only 85%. We need to refine those. 6 months passed. Humanity settled into its new role in the Galactic Council. Ambassador Chen attended countless meetings, discussed trade agreements, border disputes, cultural exchanges, the boring but necessary work of diplomacy. The council members were slowly getting used to having humans around. Some species remained cautious, afraid. Others were friendly, curious about Earth and its people. A few even sent delegations to visit humanity's homeworld. Admiral Rodriguez returned to military command on Earth. She oversaw the construction of new warships, trained new crews, worked with Dr. Tanaka to refine the weapons. The military never stopped preparing. They knew peace was temporary. It always was. Then the message came. Rodriguez was in her office reviewing reports when her communications officer rushed in. The woman looked pale, frightened. "Admiral, we just received a priority message from deep space monitoring stations. Something is coming." Rodriguez felt her stomach tighten. She had been expecting this, dreading this. "Show me." The officer brought up a holographic display. It showed readings from multiple sensor stations along the galactic rim. All of them were detecting the same thing. A massive dimensional anomaly, much larger than the Krevex had ever created. It was moving toward Council space. Rodriguez studied the data. Her military training kicked in. She analyzed threat assessments, calculated arrival times, estimated enemy capabilities. The numbers were bad, very bad. How long until it reaches Council space? Best estimate is 5 years, maybe 10. The readings are inconsistent because it exists partially outside normal space. Have we identified what it is? The officer shook her head. No, ma'am. But it is much larger than the Devourer, and the dimensional signatures suggest it is more complex, more powerful. Rodriguez closed her eyes for a moment. She had told her commanders there would be something worse. She had been right. She wished she had been wrong. Contact the Galactic Council immediately. Send them all our data, and get Dr. Tanaka in here, now. The message reached the Council within hours. An emergency session was called. Every species sent representatives. The chamber filled quickly. This time there was no debate. No politics. Just fear. Chen stood in the center of the chamber. Behind him, a holographic display showed the sensor data, the massive anomaly, the threat approaching their space. No one spoke. They all just stared at the display. Finally, Vex then broke the silence. Is it another hive mind? Like the Krevex? Chen shook his head. We do not know. Our scientists are analyzing the data. But whatever it is much larger and more powerful than the Devourer. We estimate it could destroy entire star systems. Maybe entire sectors, the Lumine representative spoke. Her voice was shaking. Can humanity stop it? Like you stopped the Krevex? Chen was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I do not know. Our weapons were designed specifically for the Krevex, for dimensional threats. But this new enemy might be different. We will need time to study it. To prepare. To build new weapons if necessary. How much time do we have? 5 to 10 years. The chamber erupted in panic. Some representatives shouted. Others looked ready to flee. A few just sat in shocked silence. The peace they had enjoyed for the last 6 months was over. Another threat had arrived. Maybe a worse one. Vex then stood and called for order. Eventually, the chamber quieted. He looked at Chen. What does humanity need? To prepare for this threat? Chen had a list ready. He had known they would ask. Resources, raw materials for building ships and weapons, access to Council scientific data, permission to establish monitoring stations throughout Council space, and most importantly, time. We need time to work. You will have everything you need. The Council grants humanity full authorization to prepare our defense. Whatever you require, you will receive, Chen bowed. Thank you. We will not waste this opportunity. We will be ready. But even as he said the words, he wondered if they were true. The Krevex had been difficult. This new threat looked impossible. Back on Earth, Rodriguez met with her top commanders and Dr. Tanaka. They gathered in a secure briefing room. The holographic display showed the anomaly. Everyone stared at it in silence. Tanaka spoke first. She had been analyzing the data for hours. This is not like the Krevex. Not exactly. The dimensional signatures are different, more complex. If I had to guess, I would say this thing exists in at least 20 dimensions simultaneously. Maybe more. Can our current weapons hurt it? Maybe, but I doubt we can kill it. Not with what we have now. We need something stronger, more focused, more powerful. One commander asked, "What about the Philadelphia Protocol? Could we use that again?" Tanaka shook her head. The protocol barely worked against the Devourer, and that thing existed in 12 dimensions. This new threat is almost twice that. We would need a completely new approach. Rodriguez leaned forward. "Doctor, give me your honest assessment. Can we win?" Tanaka was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "With what we have now, no, we would lose badly, but we have 5 to 10 years. Maybe more. In that time, we can develop new weapons. Better weapons. Weapons designed specifically for this threat." "What kind of weapons?" Tanaka pulled up a new display. It showed theoretical designs, weapons that did not exist yet. "I have been working on some concepts. Reality bombs that can collapse entire sections of dimensional space. Causality anchors that can lock something in one timeline permanently. Probability erasers that make something impossible rather than just unlikely." She paused. "And one more thing, something I have only theorized about. I call it the Omega Protocol." Everyone leaned in. Rodriguez asked, "What is it?" Tanaka looked nervous, uncertain. "It is based on the Philadelphia Protocol, but more extreme. Instead of phasing our fleet into dimensional space, we phase the entire solar system. Create a pocket universe where our physics are the only physics that work. Anything inside that pocket is subject to our rules. Our reality. We become gods in our own little universe." The room went silent. Everyone understood the implications. That kind of power was terrifying, beautiful, and necessary. "Can you build it?" "I think so. But it will take years. And massive resources. We would need to build generators the size of moons. Create power sources that do not exist yet. It is the most ambitious project humanity has ever attempted." Rodriguez stood. "Then we start today. Doctor, you have full authorization to begin the Omega Protocol project. Whatever you need, you get. Money, people, resources, time, all of it." She looked around the room at her commanders. "Gentlemen, ladies, we have 5 to 10 years to prepare for the greatest threat humanity has ever faced. We will not waste a single day. We will work. We will build. We will innovate. And when that thing arrives, we will be ready." One commander asked, "What if we are not ready? What if 5 years is not enough?" Rodriguez's expression was grim. "Then we fight anyway, with whatever we have, because that is what humans do. We do not surrender. We do not give up. We fight until we win or until there is nothing left to fight with." The meeting ended. People filed out to begin their work. Tanaka stayed behind with Rodriguez. The two women stood together looking at the holographic display. "At the massive threat approaching their space, Doctor, do you think we can actually win?" Tanaka pushed her glasses up. "I do not know. But I know we have to try. Because if we do not, everyone dies. Every human. Every Lumine. Every Vrath, everyone, so we try. We give it everything we have. And we hope it is enough." Rodriguez nodded. Hope. It was not much, but it was something. And sometimes something was all you needed. The next day, construction began. Across human space, shipyards worked at full capacity. New warships. Bigger than before. More powerful. Scientists worked around the clock developing new weapons, testing new theories, pushing the boundaries of physics. The Council provided everything humanity asked for. Raw materials, rare elements, scientific data. They knew their survival depended on humanity's success, so they gave everything they could. Months became years. The construction never stopped. The work never ended. People pushed themselves to exhaustion, then pushed further, because they had to. Because there was no alternative. Rodriguez watched it all. She saw humanity unite like never before. Every nation, every culture, every person working toward the same goal, survival. It was beautiful in a way. Tragic, but beautiful. She knew they might fail. The threat was so large, so powerful. But she also knew humanity would not go quietly. They would fight. They would rage against the dying of the light. And maybe, just maybe, they would win. 5 years passed. Then the sensors detected something. The anomaly had accelerated. It was moving faster than expected. Much faster. Rodriguez received the report in her office. She read it twice. Then she called Tanaka doctor. How much longer until the Omega protocol is ready? Tanaka's voice was tired, strained. 3 more years, minimum. We are working as fast as we can, but the technology is so complex, we do not have 3 years. The threat will arrive in 6 months. Silence on the other end. Then Tanaka said quietly, "Then we are not ready." Rodriguez felt fear. Real fear, but she pushed it down. Buried it, she had a job to do. Then we fight with what we have. Assemble the fleet. Load every weapon we have completed, even the experimental ones. We leave in 1 week, Admiral. We might not win, I know, but we fight anyway. That is what humans do. 1 week later, the human fleet assembled. 1,000 warships this time. Twice as many as before.